back to my channel. Today's video is going to be getting to know your brushes. Before I start, I just want to say that this is only my opinion and what I have used from experience and what I felt comfortable using. So if you have a routine that you're used to, or you use a brush that's not really meant for what you use it for, that's okay. I do the same thing, trust me. But I'm going to give a little bit of the basic getting to know your brushes, because I think before you really start applying your makeup, you should know what brushes you are using and how they could make a difference in how you apply your makeup. So we're gonna get started. From my last video, I did wash off the Ipsy stuff. It was pretty bad. Yeah, it was terrible. So I don't have any makeup on right now, but before I begin my makeup process, I do want to show you guys what I use, and I have tons of brushes. So we'll start with foundation. There are a lot of different foundation brushes. I mean, I have quite a few just to even get it on there. So you can use one of these flat brushes, which I did use for a long time. They're more, for me, I used to use these to get up here to blend it out. There's also the precision foundation, which has like a little tapered end to it. So it's a little, like, you can put more product on with this one than you would with this one. That's why I would usually put it on with this, and then I would get the edges with this. And this one is also a precision, same thing, tapered foundation. There's also my Tarte one, which is a bamboo, it's got more dense bristles. And I like using this actually after I use the sponge, because after I use the sponge, sometimes it gives you that cakey look. So what I do is I go over my face after I use the sponge, and I would just buff all the foundation out that I'm not having any lines. Now, for me, I've noticed that when I'm using a more thicker foundation, like a Kat Von D, brushes do tend to work fairly easy. The only problem is that sometimes with brushes, you can cake it on your face, and you kind of want to avoid that. Sponges are the best way to go, and I just recently discovered that myself. I ended up getting the wrong beauty blender, and I couldn't understand why everybody was obsessed with this, but now that I got the right one, which mine is from Real Techniques, I understand why people like these beauty blenders. And I think for a more thinner foundation, for Fenty Beauty or NARS, I do like the sponge the best, because it soaks up any extra product, that way you're not caking it on your face. So when I'm using the thinner foundation, I will use the beauty blender around, and then I take my bamboo one from Tarte, and I just buff everything out. So you have plenty of brushes to choose from. You can get a flat, a tapered precision. You can get a big denser, or go with the sponge. Again, it's all about your preferences, but there are so many to choose from. So now that you have your foundation on, the next thing would be concealer. Now, a concealer brush could look like a few things. I have a few different concealer brushes to show you. And I even have some that I've never even used. I actually have a lot of brushes that I haven't used. I have a lot of collection of brushes. But now there's different kinds. Oh, so this one's, I'll show you the new one. So this one is also considered a concealer brush, which has the round, but it's kind of like flat. So it gives you that precision, and it gives you that area where you can just pat it on. And then I always tend to go over the concealer after my brush anyway. Then you have these. These are also considered concealer brushes. And I have used these for concealer. It's not terrible. But they are a different kind of concealer brush. I feel like this one is definitely more denser. Oh, hold on one second. I do apologize. Dominic was ready to run into this video like a raging bull. So I was on concealer. So you have this brush and this brush, which I tend to use the flatter one. It's not as dense. It's a little bit more of flexibility. So this one would be like if you kind of want to pack it on a little bit more. I rarely use this one, but I have used it. It's not my favorite. My favorite to use for concealer may not even be a concealer brush, but I use this one. This is the flat, kind of like the first one where it's nice and flat, but it has an angle to it. And the reason why I use that one is because it goes perfect under my eyebrow. It gives me the angle that I need to put it onto my eye under here. Now, once you have your concealer on, you always kind of want to blend it into your makeup, which is why I also recommend getting a sponge. Even if you don't apply your foundation with the sponge, you can always use the sponge to blend your concealer into your foundation. Okay, what's the next thing? Talk about blush and contour. There are different types of contour brushes as well. You have you know what, this would be a perfect brush to show you. And these are blush. Oh, don't even play around. I got so many brushes. Contour, blush, 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 blush. So for contours are usually this angled brush, which I believe this one is the only real brush that I have, not synthetic. I got this in an Ipsy offer. I'm not sure if this is synthetic or not, but it sheds like crazy, which I heard that's what natural bristles do. I'm not a big fan of natural bristles, but this may be the only one I actually do have. But contour brushes have the angle to them. So this one is a little slightly bigger. Now this one would be more, it's not as dense. And I think that's, when it comes to makeup brushes, you can have an assortment of the same brushes, but they're not going to work the same because of density. This one is a denser than this one. So you can see when I just slightly press down how the bristles move more than it does on here. With here, if I press down, they kind of stay where they are. If I press down here, they kind of move. It's because this one is more denser. Now, when it comes to contour, you want the denser brush to get that chiseled on your cheek, but the less denser would be great for applying it on your chin and on your forehead area because it will make it easier to blend. But usually that contour chiseled cheek is what most go for. You can also use where is it? Now this is actually came from a contour pack. Now this side is a little bit angled, just a tiny bit chiseled, but very, very dense. And this is for the nose area right here, which if you don't have a brush like this, it's you can take like another, ooh, look at that. You could take another smaller concealer brush and you can just add those lines yourself right there on the nose. But if you have a contour brush like this, it will look where it's chiseled, where you can just apply it on your nose. And then this side is a flat side. Some contour brushes are flat as well. And it's not super, super thick. It's kind of skinny, where it gives you still that chiseled look that you would go for. And you can always turn, for me, after I apply it, I would turn it sideways just to blend it in and make sure, because up here I'm not really looking for that chiseled look, but here is where I go for that really, really chiseled look. Then you have blush. Now, all 4 of these brushes are different in their own way. This one's more looser, it's more fluffier, whereas this one is like really dense and good for blending. So let's start with the Luxie. Now the Luxie, as you can see, it's very, very loose, not very packed at all. So you can get a nice pigment color on here, apply it to the apples of your cheeks, go up, and you can actually use another brush like this, which is more denser, and you can use all this to blend everything all together, because you could have that contour and blush separated, but you kind of want to blend that in together, which is where these brushes come in. I have a few of them. It kind of looks like the cheek supposed to sit perfectly onto your cheek, where you can just go like this and it will blend your blush and your contour together. And then you can even go back over and just draw another contour line if you've over blended it, just to give you that chiseled look. Let's see, this one, there's a crown brush. This is another good, very dense kind of blending brush. So when I would put my blush on, I would either put one on with this one, and then I would blend it out like that. Big floofy brushes. Now, if I'm not mistaken, this one actually was labeled as a foundation brush, which kind of like looks like the Tarte brush a little bit. But I don't use this one as a foundation brush. It's a little bit too loose for me. It's not as dense as I would like my foundation brush to be. So I kind of use this for setting powder or any kind of like, I mostly use this, I'm going to be honest with you, for my Bye Bye Pore press powder. This is kind of like the only brush I use for this one. So I find it easier that I can just get it. It goes on flat and it gets on there nice. Now, when you're baking, yes, I said baking. When you would take the translucent powder and you put it on, I usually like to do it with a damp beauty blender, and you get it on there. You can use a brush to put it on there, but you're not really packing it on like you would a beauty blender. So you want to kind of use a beauty blender to put the translucent powder on, and then to sweep it away. You don't want to kind of like rip your makeup off, all that hard work you just did. You take the fluffiest brush that you have and you just sweep it away. Sweep it away. Sweep all that bacon. So there's a couple of you can have several different sizes. Like I said, they all come in different sizes and shapes and colors. This one is my floofiest brush, as I call it. And this one is the one that I use to brush away any loose powder that I have. And that is for that. Now, when you're talking about highlighting, there are a number of different highlighting brushes that you can get. It's not even a joke. There's so many of them. Okay, so there are ones called taper highlighting. Then there are fan brushes. And now these are 2 different kind of fan brushes. I even have another one I've never used. But this one, so this one is, let's go with the tapered first. Now, I did use the taper brushes for a while, and they did their job. They put where I wanted the highlight. Very nice. You know, subtle glow. I think that when you're just wanting a subtle glow, for me, my experience with the tapered blending brush, it was more of, it wasn't like a pow in your face kind of application. Now, if you want to shine, if you want the gods to turn around and put on glasses because your face is just shining bright, I recommend a fan brush. Now, there's 2 different kinds of fan brushes you can get. This one is has more bristles. It's softer. It's not as tightly packed. So you could use this one and just get that nice glow on there, on the Cupid's bow, on the nose. And it's kind of like the tapered brush is where it gives you that subtle, but this one packs it on just a little bit more. But if you want to shine, you want to get yourself one of these. And this is a fan brush, but as you can see, there aren't that many bristles. It's a very skinny, and it's got a weird kind of like paintbrush feeling. And at first I was like, oh, I don't know if this would be the brush for me. Woo! Changed everything once I actually tried it. And when you dip it in, it gets right on there, and a few swipes, oh, you shining, girl. I would highly recommend you use a thinner, denser fan brush to apply your highlighter. Eyes. Oh, you know what? We do have other ones like there are some brushes that usually come in sets, and you're probably like, oh, what do you use these for? You got like spoolies. Then you got like these smudgers. Then you got like, now these are for eyebrows, which are usually to, before you put any product on there, you comb them out. You make sure they're all nice and uniform before you put your product on there. Spoolies are good actually for a lot of uses. You can unclump your natural eyelashes before you put on any mascara. You can also use this to get your eyebrows nice and uniform. And also, if you have a mishap with mascara, you can let that baby dry and just buff it away, and it doesn't remove your makeup. It just takes off the mascara, which is wonderful. With a smudger. Now, this is a smudger that came in one of my brush kits. And you see it doesn't have any bristles onto it. It's literally like, it kind of reminds me of one of these, but rounded to the tip. Now, what you do for this one is that, let's say you have some liquid eyeliner on there, but you don't want to have that sharp line, that you just want to smudge it out for that really sexy smoky eye. It's true. You take this, and this is what you would use to buff that line out and smudge it, girl. Smudge that line. So this is a smudger, which also can be used to remove mascara if you mess up, because I've done that. Eyes. Now, there are so many brushes for eyes. It is ridiculous. You have liner brushes, which are very, very, very thin. And these brushes can be used for the gel or the liquids. You, instead of like, if you're not using the pens, you would just use this, and it's supposed to give you that nice, single, very not too thick line. Okay, that actually is an Urban Decay brush, which actually we can use that. There are so many different brushes. Okay, now when it comes to the eyes are, I think when it comes to the eyes, I think you should use whatever makes you comfortable. However, there are certain brushes that if you do use them the wrong way, it will not blend your eye makeup the way you would love it to. And I know, because I've done it from personal experience, I did not do it correctly. So just to give you an all-over idea, let me see. When it comes to adding your transitional color, which usually goes on first, you want to use something nice and fluffy and nice and rounded right here. And that's what you go with first. And it kind of is like one of those brushes that just gets right in the areas that you need it to. It doesn't have to be too thick. It doesn't have to be too thin. This would be the perfect brush to use for your transitional colors. When you want to add that deeper color into your crease, there's a brush that looks just like it. Where did I just put it? There we go. There's a brush that looks just like it, but as you can see, it's a little shorter and a little bit more dense. Now, when it comes to your eyeshadow, the denser the brush, the more color you're going to have on your eyes. So you kind of don't want to like go first really heavy with a dense brush, because then you're going to be blending out until your arms hurt. So if you want to get right into here, you would get right into there with a denser, more, not exactly flat brush, but nice and rounded, but a little bit more denser. So it's not a dramatic difference from this one to this one, but I keep dropping them. But the difference that you will see is that it does not pack on as much as the dense brush. So when it comes to your, I know this is going to be a lot, but when it comes to your outer corners, sometimes you want to add just that flick in the corner, just that tiny little bit. I recommend using not a angled brush like I showed you that I use for the not this kind of angle brush, but this kind of angle brush. So you will get the product right on the tip of that brush, and it will not be as dense. So it will give you that color that you need without packing it on. And then you have it like, oh crap, let me blend it all back in. Then when you have everything all on there, that you still gotta blend. Even though you have all your color on here, girl, you gotta blend. If your wrists don't hurt by the time you're done with your eyes, you haven't done your eyes right. So you can take any of these brushes, which would be like these are pretty dense. Like you can see when I press down on them, they don't really go anywhere. These are pretty nice and dense. Now I use these for my blending. So I would take that and I would blend up here, and then I would blend down here, because you want these lines to seamlessly go together. So you don't want to have like a line, shadow, line, shadow. You want to blend that all nice and beautifully, so you would get a nice, pretty packed, dense blending brush, and then get those lines looking soft. Then, oh my God, I'm sorry. I feel like I'm sneezing all over the place. I feel like I'm about to sneeze. Okay, baby, 1 second. Then when it comes... Okay. When it comes to packing on color onto your lids, you want to get a brush that looks... 1 second, guys. I'm so sorry. I do apologize. My son is just not having it today. So where was I? Packing. Packing color. So when packing color, you kind of want to use like those brushes that are used for concealer as well. They may be labeled concealer brushes. They may be labeled precision shader. Like this one, they kind of look almost the same. But every brush brand is going to be different and have different densities. So this is what I would recommend for putting on your color. So when you want to put on like a shimmer or some type of bold color on your lid, is where this is the brush that you usually see me spray with anything, and I pack it on just like this. This is why they call it the packer, because you pack that color on, and then sometimes, depending on the brand of the eyeshadow that you're using, you can just give it a nice swipe, and it gives you that beautiful color that you're looking for. Again, that's when you would take your shader brush and you would just blend even that lid color line into your darker transitional color, and then that's when you bring that all up. Could be much, I know, but we're getting there. Then there's also 2 more things with the eyes. So when it comes to the inner corner, you could use a big brush if you feel comfortable, and you can put a highlight color right in here. What I have found is that a lip brush does the job perfectly. It's dense enough where it picks up just the right amount of color for me, and it's just perfectly shaped just to get in that corner of your eye. So if you feel comfortable using a bigger brush, you can. If not, I recommend a lip brush, because it's for me, it's always worked. Now, since we're talking about lip brushes, there are a couple of different lip brushes that you can use. This one is a Sephora brush, which is a dual-ended brush. This one was flat. I don't know what the heck happened to it. And this is a more rounder. When using a brush for your lips, I do like using the more rounded. It does, for me, using a brush definitely does kind of give you that precision instead of just using a color like this, instead of just putting it directly on. If you take the few extra seconds just to get it on your brush and just line your lips and then fill it in, you will end up having less of a mess on your lips than just applying straight onto with the product. Now, you can use any of these kind of like flatter, more denser blender brushes for when you want to bring that color underneath your eye. I've even seen some even beauty gurus use even a brush like this. When the color's already on here, they'll bring that color right down there. But if you don't want like that really thick line of color, you just want that added pop of color, you can either take a brush like this, which is nice and flat, or you could take a brush like this, which is dense and has short bristles, and line the under part of your line with whatever eyeshadow that you're using. Same with the flat. I tend to use this one for right under my eyes because I'm able to take this flat brush and bring it right up there, just like that. Perfect straight line. How many more do we have? Well, no, really not that many. Yeah, I don't have that many left. The brand that you've seen a lot, which are these pink ones, this brush set was amazing. It had literally almost every brush in every single density and size that I could need. But I have a brush addiction, so I keep collecting more. Now this one is also a liner brush, and also I think an eyebrow brush. So it's not exactly, it's kind of like that purple one that I showed you, where you could be comfortable using the pointed end, or if you feel more comfortable using a dense, flat angle brush, where you can use this for your liner, or you can use this one for your eyebrows. So again, a lot of brushes have a lot of different uses. If you feel comfortable using a blush brush for your contour, then it's all on your preferences. I could have gotten some of these brushes wrong. Most of them are labeled for what they're intended for, and sometimes I don't even use them the right way. Like I said, I use a lip brush for the inner corner of my eye. So this is just pretty much, I'm trying to explain a little bit for my next videos coming up. They are going to be me doing a literally step-by-step video how to do a full face. We're going with a natural line, nothing dramatic, like a basic everyday look that you can go for. But we're going to be using these brushes, and sometimes it's really, really, really good to do your homework about brushes. I know it may seem like, oh, they're just brushes. No, they're not. I mean, I take care of my brushes, as you all have seen before. My brushes are beautifully stored in a case. I love my brushes very much. I take very good care of them. I say it all the time about cleaning brushes. I'm not really a germaphobe until it comes to makeup. But after every time I put on makeup, I wash my brushes. It's just one of those things that help keep my face clear, and it keeps my brushes that I can use them longer. And don't forget to also clean your makeup sponge. That's very, very important. And sanitize it, which you can also sanitize it in hot boiling water. Or they do they have them? No, I do hot boiling water with mine. Oh, I do have these brushes, which if you're new to my channel, I don't use these. These are kind of like my collective brushes. My beautiful sister sent me this, I believe for my birthday. They are my Games of Thrones brushes, which I love so much. I think I've used them only once because I don't want to ruin them. They have all the sigils. They have House Stark, Targaryen, Lannister, Baratheon, and they all have different, just, I mean, I could use a lot of these. This is a nice angled brush, beautiful lip brush. There's a nice dense shader. Oops. I don't think I'd use this one because it's like a sponge and I really don't use sponges. But this one's a nice blender as well. This one's a kind of small blush brush, but it's all right. But I just love these so much, and I really can't. They stay nice in their gold bag, and they don't go anywhere. I love my brushes. Those are my collector brushes. I do have a silicone blender, which if you have one of these, you can use this for foundation. I tend to use this when I'm mixing foundation. This is what I usually mix my foundation on so I don't waste anything. So when I'm done mixing it, I put a little bit on my neck and I don't waste it because the silicone, it comes right off. And the last thing I have in my box is, this is one of the, after I'm done cleaning my brushes, I got this off of eBay, I think for like $6. And it comes, you put it together with these two pieces of cardboard. This is a piece of acrylic on top with these little holes here. So you just, after you're done cleaning your brushes, you want to hold them upside down so they can dry without the water getting in the middle of the brushes. You don't want to get that in there. So when you're washing your brushes, try not to wash them upside down. Try to wash them going downward with the soap. You can use your hand like this, and that way you're avoiding getting the water in the middle. But then when you wash them, you can hang them upside down and have them drying on a rack like this. This literally only costs like $6 on eBay. And I'm so grateful for mine. I think I bought 3 of them. I think 2 for me and 1 for Jenny. I love this, and I'm very, very happy I got that. So that was a very quick, I know it's 32 minutes in, but that was kind of like a quick kind of intro into brushes. There's still so much that it's hard to explain, and it's all about a learning process. You may not use all of these brushes. I'm not telling you to run out and go get all the brushes. I just have a pretty big addiction to brushes. I love all my brushes, and I keep them nice and clean all the time. I have a special, like, designated spot in my box of which one goes where. Yeah, I'm a little weird like that, but I love my brushes. I mean, it's all up to you and your preference. If you don't want to use a fan brush and you prefer going with the taper one, by all means, I think that you should use whatever makes you comfortable. However, if you want to use certain brushes to create a certain look, I think it's really good that you get to know your brushes. So thank you for watching this more different video. My hair is a mess today. It's hailing outside right now, and my hair literally woke up like, no, we gonna fuzz up today. Yeah. I should have kept it back, but I didn't. But thank you guys for watching, and I will be back with a full face tutorial on using all these brushes, and I'll be doing that part individually. So just remember that if these videos are going to be shorter, they're going to be probably 10 minutes or less, because I will be talking as I go through it, because they are going to be the most detailed tutorials I have ever done. So they are going to be at least 10 minutes or less. So each part will be focused on a different aspect of my makeup routine. So I might do foundation first, then concealer, then eyebrows, then eyes, whichever way which I might just do it a certain way. I'm not even sure exactly how I'm going to do it. I'm just going to go with the flow with it. But everything is going to be in separate videos. So if you feel comfortable in how you do your foundation, but had a little questions on how to do your eyeshadow, you can just skip all that and go straight to the eyeshadow video. That where I can help you. But if you do want to watch a full face and I'm not going too fast for you, and you don't have to keep pausing it because I know how sometimes that could be very confusing. You can watch out for that video, which will be coming up very soon. I love you all for watching. Thank you for supporting my channel as always. I love you guys, and I'll be back very soon.